This weekend we brought teams, Indiana State and Illinois State, to the McLeod Center that we lost to on the road, and we ended up with the split. We had Indiana State on Friday, and I thought we played a good match. We were very balanced in the attack. When you look at our 6 people that attack, we were at 13, 12, 12, 11, 8, and 7, so a very balanced attack. I thought Kinsey did a nice job of distributing the ball. We did a much better job defensively against this team than we did at their place, so that was a good thing to see. I still think there's some things we need to do better in terms of fast attacks that have multiple options. Indiana State is a team that does that, and there's some things we need to work on to make some improvements there. But overall, especially compared to our match at their place last time, I thought we did a nice job. We had Illinois State on Saturday, and just a very tough veteran team. It's hard because they really do a nice job on all sides of the ball, all areas of the game. When you look at their offense, they put a lot of stress on your defense. First of all, their passing, we couldn't figure out who to serve that night, actually. We were actually serving pretty decent, but all of their passers were doing a good job, maybe a few here and there. 1 or 2 passes, but very rarely aced and very rarely out of system. So obviously that puts a lot of stress on your defense. We had a couple kids that we really didn't have an answer for, and anytime we tried to put more emphasis on our defense to try to defend those kids, the setter did a great job of getting the ball to somebody else, and they finished and were able to score that way. So a very good team offensively, and then you turn around on the defensive side, and they're to me one of the best teams in the conference defensively. They dig a lot of balls, but what I like about, or dislike about, I should say, they're able to just better the ball in every situation. So they get a touch, and they always are able to get that ball up and put it in front of somebody that can take an aggressive swing. They have a lot of patience. They don't make errors. So again, that puts a lot of stress on your offense as well, because you kind of get forced into maybe doing some things that you don't have, hitting shots that you don't have. I am proud of our kids. After the break, when we really had time to sit down and talk about some things, we tried to change some things in timeouts, but we weren't effectively doing it when we actually went out of timeouts. But we had some shots that we wanted them to try that maybe it wasn't going to score, but it would put them in a position to be a little bit more in scramble mode, and I thought our kids did a nice job of doing that. There were some tips and rolls that we felt were open all night in the first 2 games, and we started hitting some of those shots and getting them out of system a little bit and even scoring on some of those. But then I thought Illinois State did a nice job of adjusting to that after we were scoring for a while, and we just really could not get a run together. So a very tough team. I do think that because of what they do, they kind of put us back on our heels a little bit. We had moments where I felt like we had a lot of fight. But I think that part was inconsistent, and I told them after the match I think that was the hardest part for me, because win or lose, I don't want to be a team that gives up our fight, and I felt like we kind of did that against Illinois State, and mostly because of what they were doing. So we have to be better at that. We're going to have some battles coming up that we have to keep that fight and keep that aggressive attitude. A big weekend ahead for us in terms of placement for the conference tournament. We know the 6 teams that are in. But besides Illinois State having the #1 seed, everything else is kind of wide open. We're tied with Wichita State right now at 12-4, Missouri State's at 11-5, Indiana State at 9-7, and Southern just has 1 match this weekend, and they're at 9-8. So our focus, like it always is the matches we have ahead, and I really feel we go to Loyola and Bradley, 2 teams that are not in the tournament, and I really feel like these are 2 very dangerous teams for a few reasons. First of all, they obviously have nothing to lose. It's their last weekend. They know that. You have seniors playing on these teams that they know it's their last college match. So probably playing with a lot of intensity and effort. I think that the other thing that it brings is these are 2 teams that we saw at the very beginning of the year. Normally when we're playing teams for the second time, we saw them just a month ago, so you kind of have a little bit of them in your head. Some of the things that they do. These 2 teams couldn't be more completely different than the first time we met them. Some of it is because they've had injuries earlier in the season, and some of those kids have made their way back. So besides doing things differently, their personnel is even different. And we'll have an opportunity. I don't want to talk a lot about what they do because, to be honest, we're going to watch video today and tomorrow to really see what they're both all about. But two teams that, although they have not won a lot of matches in the conference, they have played a lot of tough matches, played a lot of games close, so they definitely have ability. Loyola is very young in some key positions, so that kind of thing, to me, when you're young, you can go either way in matches. So we have two very tough teams that we have to focus on and be prepared for, and those are the things that we'll focus on this week. So looking forward to that. It's really hard for me to believe it's our last regular season matches, but it is. The time is here. So we're looking forward to the weekend. Any questions?
Jaden Blanchfield's played a lot these last several weeks. Is she really kind of a defined role, or is she just like that first person off the bench whenever you need her?
Yeah, and to be honest, Jaden is that only person off the bench in an attacking position right now because of our personnel, and we had some injuries early and in spring, so Jaden is that kid for us. She probably has the ability to even be a starter for us during certain matches and certain teams that we're playing, but she's the kid right now that could go in for anyone. We've been using her in the middle. She's been training in the middle more just because that's the position that we feel like we have the least amount of sub options. And so for us, we keep her there at the start of the match just to kind of get a feel of what other kids are doing. But obviously she's been in the middle more. But she's a kid, it's hard to keep her off the court because she plays with so much energy and so much enthusiasm. And I think, our team really needs that and needs to feed off of that. So, I look for her to get a lot of playing time over the next couple weeks.
Do you think you can develop strategy to beat Illinois State if you play them again?
Well, we're not looking at that right now because besides this weekend, we're going to have another opponent or maybe two opponents. But, obviously they're a tough team. There's some things we feel like we can do to prepare for them, but it's way in the back of our heads and nothing that we're really thinking about. But they're a good veteran team. They're going to be tough to beat. It'll be interesting. They play Missouri State and Wichita State this weekend. So it'll be kind of fun to see how those two teams challenge Illinois State. And obviously we get those videos and see some things that they might do. But they're good. But, if we have that opportunity, we will definitely prepare for that.